Announcer bot is active. The race session is at Killarney International Raceway in Cape Town, South Africa. Jay Connell from South Africa is P1. James Leach from South Africa is second. Henko van den Berg from South Africa is P3. Renier Leach from South Africa is fourth. James Leach SNR from South Africa is fifth. Melvin Goes from Namibia is sixth. Brandon Van Wyck from South Africa is seventh. Tihan van Rooyen from South Africa is eighth. Renier Leach in Continental is P6. Brandon Van Wyck in Castrol is P8. Dewald Lambert from Afghanistan in Volkswagen is P9. Mike McGeer from Ireland is 10th. Yuan Nyeman from South Africa in back straight is 11th. Gerhard Nyeman from South Africa in start-finish is P12. Peter Grobler from South Africa in Continental is 13th, 0.3 behind Gerhard Nyeman. Brendan Gryasel from South Africa in Castrol on lap 2 is P14, 0.4 behind Peter Grobler. Leon van Linden from South Africa in Volkswagen is P15, 0.5 behind Brendan Gryasel. Jay Connell in back straight is P2, 0.3 behind James Leach. Melvin Goes in start finish is P4, 0.1 behind Henko van den Berg. Melvin Goes is now third. James Leach exiting pits. Renier Leach is P5. Renier Leach passed Tihan van Rooyen for P4. Tihan van Rooyen in Castrol is 5th, 0.1 behind Renier Leach. Tihan van Rooyen passed Renier Leach for 4th. Tihan van Rooyen lost 4th to Renier Leach. Brandon Van Wyck is 7th, 0.2 behind James Leach SNR. Yuan Nyeman in back straight is P11 battling Gerhard Nyeman. Yuan Niemand is now 11th. Brendan Gryasel in Stanek is P13, 0.4 behind Yuan Niemand. Brendan Gryasel is now P11. Gerhard Niemand from South Africa in start-finish is P12, 0.1 ahead of James Leach. Brendan Gryasel in Continental is 12th, 0.4 behind Peter Grobler. Gerhard Niemand in Castrol is P14, 0.3 behind Brendan Gryasel. Melvin Goes in Sabat on lap 4 is P4, 0.2 behind Hanko van den Berg. Hanko van den Berg in back straight is 4th. Melvin Goes in start finish is P4, 0.1 behind Hanko van den Berg. Melvin Goes is now P3. Renier Leach in Continental is 4th, 0.2 behind Melvin Goes. Leon van Linden is 12th, 0.2 ahead of Yuan Niemand. Leon van Linden lost P12 to Yuan Niemand. Peter Grobler in Kink is P14. Peter Grobler passed Leon van Linden for P13. Leon van Linden in Sabat on lap 5 is P14, 0.2 behind Peter Grobler. Leon van Linden is now P13. Hanko van den Berg in start finish is 3rd, 0.2 behind Melvin Goes. Renier Leach in start finish is 4th, 0.1 behind Hanko van den Berg. Brandon Van Wyck is 6th, 0.4 behind James Leach SNR. Leon van Linden in Castrol is 13th, 0.5 behind Yuan Niemand. Hanko van den Berg on lap 6 is P3, 0.2 ahead of Renier Leach. Renier Leach is P4, 0.2 behind Hanko van den Berg. Mike McGear in start finish is P9 driving a Opel, 0.3 behind James Leach. Yuan Niemand in start finish is P12, 0.5 behind Peter Grobler. Renier Leach in Castrol is 3rd, 0.2 ahead of Melvin Goes. Melvin Goes in Malmesbury Straight is P4, 0.5 behind Rainier Leach. De Wald Lambert in Back Straight is P8, 0.1 behind James Leach. Yuan Niemand in Back Straight is 12th, 0.5 behind Peter Grobler. Leon van Linden in Stanek is P14, 0.3 behind Gerhard Niemand. Brandon Van Wyck from South Africa in Continental is 7th, 0.2 behind James Leach. De Wald Lambert in Castrol is P8, 0.3 behind Brandon Van Wyck. Leon van Linden in Castrol on lap 8 is P15, 0.5 behind Tihan van Rooyen. Rainier Leach in Stanek is 3rd, 0.5 behind Henko van den Berg. De Wald Lambert from Afghanistan in start-finish is 8th, 0.4 behind Brandon Van Wyck. Brandon Van Wyck in Continental is 8th, 0.1 behind De Wald Lambert. Brandon Van Wyck lost P8 to Mike McGear. Mike McGear in Volkswagen is 8th, 0.5 behind De Wald Lambert. Gerhard Niemand from South Africa in Malmesbury Straight is P14, 0.4 behind Tihan van Rooyen. Leon van Linden in Back Straight is 15th, 0.2 behind Gerhard Niemand. Mike McGear in start-finish is 8th, 0.2 behind De Wald Lambert. Melvin Goes in Volkswagen is 5th, 1.1 behind James Leach SNR. Mike McGear in Sabat is P8, 0.1 behind De Wald Lambert. James Leach SNR in start-finish is 4th. Mike McGear in Continental is P8 battling DeWald Lambert. James Leach SNR is 4th, 0.6 behind Rainier Leach. Mike McGear in back straight is P8, 0.3 behind DeWald Lambert. James Leach SNR in Continental is P4, 0.6 behind Rainier Leach. Mike McGear in Continental is P8, 0.4 behind DeWald Lambert. James Leach SNR in Volkswagen is 4th driving a Opel, 0.4 behind Rainier Leach. Mike McGear in Malmesbury Straight on lap 12 is 8th, 0.4 ahead of Brandon Van Wyck. Stanek is P9, 0.6 behind Mike McGear. Jay Conell entering the pits is P1. Mike McGear from Ireland in start-finish is P8, 0.3 behind DeWald Lambert. Hanko van den Berg entering the pits is P3. Mike McGear is now P4. Brandon Van Wyck entering the pits is 4th. Mike McGear entering the pits is P2. Brendan Gryasel entering the pits is P6. Announcer bot is active. The race session is at Killarney International Raceway in Cape Town, South Africa. Jay Conell from South Africa is 1st. Hanko van den Berg from South Africa is 2nd. Rainier Leach from South Africa is 3rd. James Leach SNR from South Africa is P4. Melvin Goes from Namibia is P5. James Leach from South Africa is 6th. DeWald Lambert from Afghanistan is P7. Mike McGear from Ireland is 8th. Brandon Van Wyck from South Africa in Castrol is P10. South Africa in Volkswagen is P11. Brendan Gryasel from South Africa in back straight is P13. Yuan Yemen from South Africa is P14. Yuan Yemen is now 13. Hanko van den Berg from South Africa in start-finish is second, 0.2 behind Jaco Nel. Renier Leach is P4. Renier Leach lost P5 to Dewald Lambert. Mike McGear in kink is P8 driving a Opel, 0.4 behind Renier Leach. Brandon Van Wyck in Sabat is P10, 0.3 behind Peter Grobler. Tihan van Rooyen in back straight is 13th driving a BMW 325 is 0.2 behind Yuan Niemand. James Leach SNR in start-finish is P6. Renier Leach in Continental is P7 driving an Opel, 0.4 behind James Leach SNR. Peter Grobler from South Africa in Castrol is 10th, 0.2 ahead of Gerhard Niemand. Gerhard Niemand from South Africa in Volkswagen is 11th, 0.1 behind Peter Grobler. Brendan Gryasel in Sabat is P14. Melvin Goes in Stanek is 4th, 0.3 behind James Leach. Melvin Goes past James Leach for P3. James Leach in start-finish is P4, 0.1 behind Melvin Goes. Dewald Lambert is P7, 0.2 behind Renier Leach. Mike McGear on lap 4 is 8th, 0.2 ahead of Brandon Van Wyck. Brandon Van Wyck in Malmesbury Straight is P9, 0.4 behind Mike McGear. Tihan van Rooyen in back straight is P11, 0.2 behind Gerhard Niemand. Gerhard Niemand in Stanek is P11, 0.2 ahead of Peter Grobler. Gerhard Niemand lost 11 to Peter Grobler. Brendan Gryasel in start-finish is P14 driving a Opel, 0.1 behind Yuan Niemand. Melvin Goes in Castrol is P4, 0.3 behind James Leach. Mike McGear in Volkswagen is 8th, 0.2 behind Dewald Lambert. Brandon Van Wyck in back straight on lap 5 is P9, 0.2 behind Mike McGear. Gerhard Niemand in back straight is 12th, 0.2 behind Peter Grobler. Yuan Niemand in start-finish on lap 5 is 14th, 0.1 behind Brendan Gryasel. Yuan Niemand passed Brendan Gryasel for P13. Brendan Gryasel in Continental on lap 6 is 14th, 0.1 behind Yuan Niemand. Mike McGear in Kink on lap 6 is 8th, 0.3 behind Dewald Lambert. Brandon Van Wyck in Sabat is P9. Peter Grobler in back straight is P12, 0.2 behind Gerhard Niemand. Brendan Gryasel in Stanek is P14 driving a Opel, 0.5 behind Yuan Niemand. Renier Leach in Continental is 6th, 0.4 behind James Leach SNR. Dewald Lambert in Castrol is P8, 0.3 behind Mike McGear. Dewald Lambert passed Mike McGear for 7th. Mike McGear in Volkswagen is 8th, 0.2 behind Dewald Lambert. Brandon Van Wyck in back straight is 9th, 0.3 behind Mike McGear. Yuan Niemand in back straight is P13, 0.1 behind Peter Grobler. James Leach SNR in start-finish is P5, 0.1 ahead of Renier Leach. Renier Leach is P6, 0.1 behind James Leach SNR. Mike McGear in Castrol is P9, 0.2 behind Brandon Van Wyck. Yuan Niemand is P13, 0.2 behind Peter Grobler. Melvin Goes from Namibia in back straight is 4th, 0.3 behind James Leach. James Leach SNR in start finish is P5, 0.2 ahead of Rainier Leach. Rainier Leach in Continental is 6th, 0.3 behind James Leach SNR. Brandon Van Wyck is 8th, 0.2 behind De Wald Lambert. James Leach SNR in Malmesbury Straight is P5, 0.2 behind Melvin Goes. Rainier Leach in back straight is 6th. Brandon Van Wyck in back straight is P8, 0.4 behind De Wald Lambert. Mike McGeer in start finish is P9, 0.4 behind Brandon Van Wyck. James Leach SNR is P5, 0.1 behind Melvin Goes. James Leach SNR passed Melvin Goes for P4. Melvin Goes in kink on lap 10 is 5th, 0.1 behind James Leach SNR. Melvin Goes past James Leach SNR for P4. James Leach SNR in Sabat is P5. James Leach SNR lost P5 to Rainier Leach. Brandon Van Wyck in back straight is P8, 0.2 behind De Wald Lambert. James Leach SNR in start finish is 6th, 0.1 behind Melvin Goes. De Wald Lambert in start finish on lap 11 is 8th, 0.1 behind Brandon Van Wyck. Tihan van Rooyen is 10th, 0.2 behind Mike McGeer. Melvin Goes in Volkswagen is 5th, 0.4 behind Rainier Leach. James Leach SNR in back straight is P6, 0.5 behind Melvin Goes. De Wald Lambert in back straight is P8, 0.1 behind Brandon Van Wyck. James Leach SNR in start finish is P6, 0.2 behind Melvin Goes. Mike McGear in Continental is 9th, 0.4 behind Dewald Lambert. James Leach SNR is P6, 0.2 behind Melvin Goes. Mike McGear in Volkswagen is P9, 0.3 behind Dewald Lambert. Melvin Goes in back straight is P6 driving a BMW 325 is 0.1 behind James Leach SNR. Mike McGear in Stanek is P9 driving a Opel, 0.3 behind Dewald Lambert. Hanko van den Berg entering the pits is first. Jay Connell entering the pits is P1. James Leach SNR in Continental is P6 driving a Opel, 0.1 behind Melvin Goes. James Leach entering the pits is second. James Leach SNR entering the pits is second.